Hi everyone, so today we're going to be working with Chapter 8, Section 5, factoring in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. We're on page 512 of the textbook. So some trinomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c can be factored into two equivalent forms that are the product of two binomials. So last week when we were working with FOIL, you were multiplying two binomials together, and then we got a trinomial. What we're going to be doing for factoring is we're going to have the trinomial and we're going to try to get back those binomials. So we're going to have basically the end result, and we want what we have to FOIL. So we want the numbers that we have the numbers that we have to multiply together to get the answer. So we're kind of going to be working backwards. The signs and factors of the coefficients of the trinomial indicate how the trinomial can be factored. So over here, how we have plus bx and plus c, these two plus signs, or it could be a plus and a minus, they're going to dictate how we're going to factor. So let's practice some factoring. 24. What two numbers, when we multiply them together, will give us 24? We could do 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, or 4 times 6. All four of these options will give us 24. How about negative 12? What two numbers multiplied together will give us negative 12? 1 times negative 12, negative 1 times 12, 2 times negative 6, and 6 times negative 2. 3 times negative 4, or 4 times negative 3. All of these options will give us negative 12 as a result of multiplying them together. So we're going to have the form x squared plus bx plus c. And for this problem, I'm going to tell you b is greater than 0 and c is greater than 0. So what this is going to mean is that both numbers are going to be positive. So both b and c will be positive numbers. So as long as they're both greater than 0, both of the numbers are bigger than 0, that means they're both positive, we can go ahead and use how to factor it using this method. So the end result for factoring is going to be two sets of parentheses. So one of the questions are going to look like this. What is the factored form of x squared plus 8x plus 15? So what we're going to do first is what two numbers when multiplied together will give us 15. So what two numbers multiplied together give us 15, but when we combine them, they have to add up to 8. So it's kind of like a two-part process. You have to figure out what two numbers to multiply, and then we have to figure out what they add up to. So it's always going to be, what do they multiply to as the last number, and then the number that has the x attached to it. What two numbers, when we multiply them together, are going to add up to whatever this number is. So the way to do this is you're going to write the factors of 15, and then you're going to write the sum of the factors. So let's practice. What two numbers will, when multiplied together, will give us 15? The first one is always obvious, 1 and whatever that number is. So 1 and 15. What's the sum of 1 and 15? 1 plus 15 will give us 16. Well, 16, we can't use it because we're looking for 8 as the sum. So 3 times 5 will also give us 15. What about 3 plus 5? 3 plus 5 gives us 8. That works here because that's a sum. So 3 and 5 are going to be our factors because they add up to this 8x over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up two sets of parentheses, and it's always going to be x plus or x minus a number. And here, since they're both plus signs, they're both going to be x plus a number. And why are both parentheses have x's in them? Because they're both x squared. So to factor this, we're going to do x plus 3 times x plus 5. This is our final answer, but let's take this one step further. let's double check to make sure that these two sets of parentheses is going to give us this number back. How would we do that? How would we figure out if our answer is correct? Well, to check, we're going to use FOIL. So we're going to do x times x, which gives us x squared, x times 5, which gives us plus 5x, 3 times x, which gives us plus 3x, and 3 times 5, which gives us 15x. Now we go ahead and combine all our like terms, which is just the 5x and the 3x. So our final answer is x squared plus 8x plus 15. That was what we had to factor out before, so then we know that x plus 3 and x plus 5 is the factored form of this. If you're always unsure of what you're doing, if it's the correct way, always just go back and FOIL it to see if you're getting the same answer. If you get the same answer back, that means you know you did your factoring correctly. So let's try this one. What's the factored form of x squared plus 11x plus 24? First thing, we're going to write down the factors of 24, and then we're going to write the sum of the factors. Now on a quiz and a test or in your homework, I have it all set up where you use a little chart. You're going to write the factors of the number, the sum of the factors, and then what the actual factored form is. So let's practice. Factors of 24. What two numbers multiplied together is going to give me 24? 1 and 24. Well, what's the sum of 1 and 24? 25. 2 and 12. What's the sum of that? 14. What's the next way we could get to 24? 3 and 8. 3 plus 8 gives me 11. Remember, we're now looking for the sum of the factors to equal what? 11. But let's just continue on to make sure we don't have another, like an extra option. 4 and 6. 4 plus 6 gives me 10. So, out of all these factors that are listed here, which set of them is going to give me a sum of 11? Well, 3 and 8 will give me 11. So my answer, my factored form is x plus 3 times x plus 8. All of them, remember, x is always going to be the first term in the parentheses, and then it's going to be both plus here, or both positive. Why? Because it's positive 11x and positive 24. So now we're going to have the form x squared plus bx plus c, where b is less than 0 and c is greater than 0. This means that both numbers are negative numbers. Now here it's okay, we both have the plus signs here. They're interchangeable. This is their textbook definition. So what's the factored form of x squared minus 11x plus 24? Remember I told you if b is less than 0, both numbers are, b is less than 0 and c is greater than 0, both numbers are going to be negative. Well, if I just told you both numbers are going to be negative, why do I have a positive 24? Well, because if you do negative times negative, you get positive. So we want to have factors of 24, but they got to add up to what? Negative 11. So let's practice. Negative 1 times negative 24 gives me positive 24, but when we add them together, we get negative 25. What else gives us 24? Negative 2 times negative 12, that gives us positive 24. What's negative 2 plus negative 12? Negative 14. Negative 3 times negative 8 gives me positive 24, but negative 3 plus negative 8 gives me negative 11. And lastly, negative 4 times negative 6, that gives me positive 24. Negative 4 plus negative 6 gives me negative 10. Which of these factors has a sum of negative 11? Negative 3 and negative 8. So our factored form is x minus 3 and x minus 8. Why are they both minus? Because this is minus and this is positive. So when we multiply the negative 3 times negative 8, we'll get positive 24. If we wanted to check that, we're going to use the FOIL method. So x times x will give me x squared. X times negative 8 will give me negative 8x. Negative 3 times x will give me negative 3x. And negative 3 times negative 8 will give me positive 24. Now we combine like terms. So negative 8 minus 3 gives me negative 11. So my factored form did check out to the FOILed form. Let's practice. What's the factored form of x squared minus 6x plus 8? So we got to have two negative numbers that add up to negative 6. So let's write the factors down of 8 and the sum of the factors. So we could do negative 1 times negative 8. That gives me positive 8. What's negative 1 plus negative 8? Negative 9. What else? We can do negative 2 times negative 4. Negative 2 plus negative 4 gives me negative 6. So which of these factors will give me a negative, or their sum will give me a negative 6? Negative 2 and negative 4, and that does equal negative 6. So I open my parentheses, x minus 2 and x minus 4. This right here is your factored form of this. How about this one? What's the factored form of t squared plus 10t plus 16? Okay, well, they're both greater than 0. This right here, number is greater than 0, and this number right here is greater than 0. So since they're both greater than 0, they're both going to be what? Positive. So we're looking for factors of 16 that add up to 10. So how do we get 16 when we multiply 1 and 16? Well, what's the sum of 1 and 16? 17. 2 and 8. What's the sum of 2 and 8? 10. And also we could do 4 times 4. And what's the sum of 4 and 4? 4 plus 4 gives me 8. So which of these factors, when added together, give me 10? 2 and 8 gives me 10. So our first parenthesis is going to be x plus 2, and our second parenthesis is going to be x plus 8. So let's try this one. What's the factor form of q squared minus 8q plus 12? What two numbers multiplied together is going to give me positive 12, but when we add them together is going to give me a negative 8. Well, the only way to get a negative or a positive number when we have subtraction or a negative sign right here is to make sure both our numbers are negative. So let's practice the factors of 12. We could do negative 1 and times negative 12. Multiply together will give us positive 12, but what happens if we add negative 1 and negative 12? We'll get negative 13. How about if we do negative 2 times negative 6? That gives us positive 12. But when we add them, we get negative 2 plus negative 6 will give us negative 8. And we can also do negative 3 times negative 4. That will give us positive 12. But if we add negative 3 and negative 4, we get negative 7. So which one of these multiplied together gives us 12, but when we add them gives us negative 8, negative 2, and negative 6? So our first parenthesis is x minus 2, and our second parenthesis is x minus 6. As always, here is our pet of the day. This right here, this is Taylor the Swift. She's likes to be called Taylor Swift. Some daily reminders. Your homework is assigned daily and it's posted on Google Classrooms and Plus portals. When you're completed with your homework, upload it to Google Classroom or email it to me, but it has to be before the start of class. If I don't get it before, it's considered late and you won't receive full credit. Remember, if you have any questions, please reach out and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day, guys.